Hey Shujel. Hello Shujel. Hello Shujel, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Shujel? Yes, Tanvir bhai, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh. So, Travis, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Just good. Just restarting up again. We had been just pause a little bit our activities because of the COVID-19 virus.
Sure.
Everyone sick and just being in home. Um, so it's hard to work together. But we're starting up again, and we got an email from University of Northern Denmark from you guys that there are some sports labs for students for automation engineering.
Okay.
Um, so that's why actually starting our activities. So hopefully we'll have a good response from the website from from this webinar.
Yeah.
But Travis, I don't know if I can see you. Hold on a second.
Because you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me. All right, Travis,
Yes.
can you see my screen?
Yes, but there are some black squares blocking out most of it right now.
Okay, is better now?
A little better, yeah. There's still,
Yes.
I don't,
Yes. Automa.
Yeah, it's better now.
yeah. There's
Uh,
still like a
Can you
skinny
hear me? Because
rectangle. Yeah.
yes,
can you hear me?
yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Travis. Okay. Yeah, Travis, I think we can start now.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you are you gonna scroll through this, or do you want me to share my screen, or how
Yeah,
would you like
I
to?
will. I will just scroll through.
Okay, sounds great. Then my job's even easier. So hi everyone, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. My name is Travis, and I'm one of the teachers in the automation engineering department at UCN. I'm teaching in the business innovation and project management side of the automation engineering department. So I'm not as much on the technical side, but we have some other very excellent teachers who are handling those activities. So just to give you a really quick introduction to me, I moved to Denmark in 2015. Yeah, just one slide up. Yeah, and where I did my master's degree here in Aalborg, and now I'm teaching at UCN. So that's kind of my journey to get to where I am right now. So I'm not Danish. I'm American. And then if we go to the next slide, I have some as a non-European Union resident myself coming to Denmark to study. These were some of the main differences that I noticed between at least the American way of studying and the Danish way. Which and you'll find this at UCN as well, which is that we do lots of group work. So project work, class activities, assignments, and things like that are very often done in groups. So you get a lot of good sparring with your fellow students and get to problem solve together and gain a lot of perspectives. The exams are oral exams. They're not, it's very rare to have a written exam. So for me, this meant that I learned the material much deeper and had to have a very deep and strong understanding of it to be able to speak back and forth with the other teachers at the exam. And I believe it's a really great way to learn. And also our programs, and this is also true with automation engineering, there's an internship semester, which really helps to connect the knowledge and skills that you gain in the class and turn them into true real-world competencies out in a Danish company. And you get some working experience out in a Danish company that also helps you to get a job after you graduate as well, if you wish to stay in Denmark. Yeah, so we can go to the next. And at UCN, these some of those three topics and many other things combine to create what we call reflective practice-based learning, which is the concept that we don't, as a student, you're not just going to sit in a lecture and listen to the teachers. There are many days where that is the case, where you will be sitting and being in a lecture, but even during that lecture, sometimes you're going to sit and listen to the teacher. Sometimes you'll be doing group work and activities. You'll be doing in-class assignments. You'll be working on robots and conveyor belts and doing programming on different types of equipment in the laboratory, and sometimes you'll be making presentations to the class. So we're approaching learning and teaching from many different angles to get a full and deeper understanding of everything that we're doing instead of just sitting and listening. So that's something unique to UCN. So then if we zoom into automation engineering, it's a 2-year degree. It's an academy profession degree, and that includes the internship we talked about. And if you wanted to go on to study further educations within UCN, you can take another 1.5 years in either energy management, product development, or innovation and entrepreneurship. And then you can get what's called a professional bachelor degree on top of your automation engineering AP degree. But the other thing to note here is that all 3 of these, they're only taught in Danish right now. So yeah, in the last couple of years, we've had to switch it so they're not offered in English anymore. But in those 2 years, I've seen a handful of students who decided that's what they want to do, and they just take the Danish language courses on a side of their program. Aalborg and Denmark in general have an excellent program for teaching you Danish if you want to learn Danish. And I would definitely recommend at least starting to learn Danish if you come to Denmark, because it really helps you connect with people here, even though everybody speaks perfect English in Denmark. So it is a possibility to learn Danish and to continue the education, but that is a requirement. But yeah, we can go to the next. So here is just a snapshot of some of the coursework. And I don't want to go into great detail here because we don't have a ton of time to do that. But on the left side of the slide, you can see where it starts with UCN.uk. This is just sort of the pathway to get to this. I've taken this screenshot directly from the 2020 curriculum from the UCN website. So you just go to the website, select English, automation engineering, about the program, and so on and so forth until you get to the curriculum. And then you can find here in section 2.1. But you can see in the first semester, you're learning some of the programming and everything. And you can see, well, yeah, you can just see the coursework going on there. And then this next slide here is just dissecting the third semester a little bit more. But you can see you're learning lots of different programming languages. You're learning some math and physics. You're learning about safety and electrical systems as well. And then, so the first semester, the theme of the first semester is looking at machines themselves. The second semester is about cells, so machines cooperating with each other. The third semester, it's a bit more of like systems. So actually, how does an entire company incorporate all of these automation aspects themselves? And the fourth semester is half of the semester is your 10-week internship, and the second half of the semester is your final exam project. So there's no courses in the fourth semester. That's all practical work. Yeah, so we can continue. And this slide just breaks down the third semester a little bit further, just because it wasn't zoomed in on the picture above. But you can find all of this on the website. Okay. This is also just taken right from the website. If you're curious about some potential careers that you can go into after graduation, so you can do everything from working in power companies to automation companies, or even just like production facilities where you're trying to add automation or just maintain the automation equipment that they have currently have. And there's all kinds of variety of jobs that you can do with this degree. And yeah, we can go to the next. I told Vikash he can share this slide with you as well, so you can go through these in a bit more detail. And as I said, it's all on the website here too. And again, here's just like an overview of the broad scope of what you can do with your AP degree in automation engineering. So it's everything from being a programmer of different types of machinery and robotics and things like that, to being a technician in production, and even project managers. Because actually the background that you'll get in automation, you'll know you'll have quite a broad range of knowledge about electrical components and automation in general. So very often automation engineers can find themselves in project management roles because you're the one who actually knows something about everything going on. And with the automation degree, we have an extremely high rate at which students are finding jobs after graduation. So I believe it's like approximately 95% or something like that. So it's a very sought after degree as the world is moving towards automation. Okay, go to the next. And then just a really quick overview, just to zoom out of studying itself. I just took a couple of pictures here of what it's like to live in Aalborg. And with the exception of the one with a bit of snow in it, these are some of the summery months, but it has a climate that's kind of like warm in the summer, but cold and gray in the winter time. But there's lots of activities going on. Aalborg, it's about 220,000 people, I believe, and like when it's not summertime, there's like something like 60 or 75,000 students in the city, because there's 2 universities in Aalborg. So there's a huge activity of student life, and it's a very young feeling city with lots of energy going on. So the top right photo is just an event in one of our UCN facilities. The bottom left photo is an event that we have every year, which is unfortunately canceled this year at the end of May, which is our carnival, where we have like 100,000 visitors coming into the city for this big parade, and everybody dresses up, and it's quite fun. But the point with this is just there's lots to do, and whether you enjoy sports, theater, concerts, you can find most of that throughout the year in Aalborg. Yeah, go to the next. Yeah, okay, so that was it. And I just have here the website and my email one more time in case you have any questions. But yeah, so that was just a little intro. And now if you have any questions.
Yes, Travis, thank you for your presentation. It was really nice presentation.
Yeah.
We'd like to know about, you say, the employment rate. Could you please explain about a little bit more, like why it is so much about the employment rate is so high? Why
Yeah, definitely. It's for a couple of reasons. One is the reputation of UCN is quite high, and people know that the students are very capable when they're graduating with a degree from our college. A second reason is that during the 4th semester, when the students have this internship, this 10-week internship, a very high number of them actually get a job in that internship when they graduate. So they just make a deal with the company because the internship itself is unpaid. It's just a part of the studies, and they make a deal with the company to continue that unpaid internship for another like month and a half or 2 months during the final exam project, and then they write their final exam project about some project they're doing in the company. And then when they graduate in June, they start work as a full-time employee in that company. So that's another reason why the employment rate is quite high. And a final reason is, of course, that the world is moving towards automated solutions and away from using human beings to do some of these tasks that you can program a robot to do instead. So more and more companies are looking for these automated solutions and people with these variety of skills. So it's a very valuable skill set to have.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important that the student have in order to get admission in this degree program, the student must have to have like the high school certificate, of course, and from Bangladesh and Nepal and India, they need to have the senior secondary school certificate. In Bangladesh, probably higher secondary certificate, right? And then how do you admit the students? Like based on what kind of criteria normally you're looking for as students to admit that program?
Sure. So I'm not a part of the admittance department, but I do know that in the application, the first round is based on grades and all of the minimum requirements, and so a certain number of students are taken for each program based on the grades and things like that. And the second and equally important aspect is the motivation letter, talking about just describing you as a person and talking about what experience you have. Have you done volunteer work? Do you like sports? Have you participated in some kind of extracurricular activities? Everything like that. So UCN can get to know who you are as a person and get to know how passionate you are about this area of study, actually. So if you actually, have a story like when you were a kid, you took apart your parents' TV and tried to put it back together or something like that, or always, have these little stuff. You built a little robot yourself or a little like Lego kit that has some kind of automation. Telling stories like that show that you really, really love working with machines and that the area of automation would just be such a perfect thing for you to study. That also really boosts your chance of being accepted as well, because the admission department really looks at that strongly.
Yep, that's right. But do you look for a student any kind of mathematics grades or physics or chemistry, any kind of subjects that you specify looking for?
Yes, I believe the requirement is a math and physics C level, I believe.
Yep.
If you don't have that requirement, you can still apply. And what will happen if you don't meet the minimum requirements, the admissions office will generally send it to one of the teachers, and we'll look at your whole application, including your letter of motivation and what other courses you've taken and everything, and we'll make a decision on whether we'll make a special case to admit you otherwise. So it's, math and physics is the requirement, and then there's an English requirement as well. And I can't remember exactly what that is, but it's but it's on the website too with the language requirement. But there's a couple specific type of tests that you have to take, whether it's the IELTS or one of the other ones.
The TOEFL. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not more clear about that. I don't work in the admissions.
As I know, the tuition fees is basically about 6,000, almost 6,500 euros per semester. But there have an UCN scholarships, so a student might can get also some scholarship like 30 to 40%. So how that does it works?
That is actually a question I would have to forward to Magdalena. I don't know a ton about that, but I do know that if you have some kind of there are lots of opportunities to apply for scholarships.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there have a good number of scholarship at UCN, so definitely student can apply through. It's about minimum 30 to 40%. Actually, that's reduce a significant amount of the tuition fees of the students. So it's good to apply, I guess. Could you please just explain a little bit about is it how do you the teaching methods normally? Is it like the total company comings, or you working with the companies, or using the theories, and how do you normally does it works if you put it in short?
Sure. I'm sorry. I got an email and it made a alarm in my ear when you said the first part of your question. Explain what works.
Now, explain basically like when you teach this program, basically, then what kind of theory that you apply? Is it like the theory is like 50%, or theory is like more, or is the practical is like the more?
Okay. Yeah, great. It's sort of like 50-50, I would describe it as, because half of the credits that you take every semester are going to come from like specific coursework. Like you have to complete courses every semester, and that is going to count for half of the credits, and the other half of the credits is going to be the projects that you complete, using the theory from those courses to actually do something practically with that knowledge. So the approach that we take is building students up by giving them knowledge, then building skills, and then turning those skills into competencies. And competency is the goal with everything that we're teaching. So so we have a lot of time, and a lot of the classes too are actually taught in the laboratory. So some of the lectures are actually a teacher sort of guiding you as you're programming a PLC or programming a universal robot to do something with some conveyor belts and sensors and other things like that as well.
So once they have completed this degree program, basically, then could they, what kind of study program they can move to, and they can study again? What kind of top-up programs they can start?
Yeah, that's product development, innovation and entrepreneurship, and energy management are the 3 top-ups. But again, they're only offered in Danish. So at UCN, they're only offered in Danish. There are some other universities around Denmark that you can do a top-up in English, but UCN unfortunately doesn't offer it anymore because we weren't getting the numbers of students in those programs to sustain them in English.
All right. Okay. So the possibility is, after continuing this program, either to find a job, and you say it's 95% graduate is finding a job, or to possibility to study further in another Danish institutions.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
or you can take Danish, in Aalborg when you come here and actually study in Danish. I've seen students do that too.
Is it practical to that a student can complete the Danish language beside this when they have been then they will study the automation engineering program? Because of the workload and everything, it's very much higher to.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy to do that. It would take somebody who really desires that strongly and decides that's where they're going to put their focus, and applies themselves towards learning the language and in the study program, and if you're going to have a job on the side as well. So it takes a lot of discipline. I've seen people do it, but I would not say it's an easy thing to do by any means.
Yeah, right. But I think we got most of the answer from you. If someone has any question, then they can ask to Travis.
And also feel free. You know, I was the reason I introduced my story in the beginning was because I was once an international student from outside of the European Union as well. So if you have any questions about coming to Denmark or what it's like to the culture and absorbing into the culture and stuff like that, I'm happy to talk about that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Travis, for joining us. And then hopefully, anybody have any questions so far? Yes. I think it's no question right now, but we will send it your presentation to our social media sites and to the prospective students. So hopefully they will get, and also our working partner, so they will get your presentation. And also it will be, the webinar is recording, so I will just put it through afterwards to the different channels.
Okay, that's great. Maybe I'll send you an updated version of that presentation, and I'll just put Magdalena on there too, so the initial questions.
Yeah. Definitely.
Great.
Mr. Tanvi, do you have any questions so far?
Your microphone is muted.
Yeah, your microphone is muted here. Now you can see. Where is Samrina?
Hello,
Is a future student. Hello, Samrina. Is future student of UCN. Tanvir, do you have any question regarding automation engineering program?
No, not
All right. Now. But if you have any questions, then definitely you can write to Travis or you can write to me always.
Yes, absolutely.
Samrina, it's nice to see you. Do you have any questions so far?
I was interested to ask about how our admission now there is all lockdowns and all. So will it affect for our this September intake?
You're talking about the virus situation?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think
Because
Travis
of
can
this, will
answer.
it affect our September intake?
I actually don't have the answer to that because I'm not working for the admissions department. I'm just a teacher. So, but I would email Magdalena about that if you've heard of her. She's in charge of all of the admissions for international students outside of the European Union. And I think Bikesh has her contact.
Yeah, but so far as I know, Sabrina, that is, uh, you know, we don't know the situation, but Denmark situation is getting better. Like every small shops is open from yesterday, and hopefully by May 10, everything will be open here. So the
Yeah,
situation is getting better and better day by day. If
yeah,
something happens in the, in again a second attack, then might be it can go maybe one a month or 2 weeks later that you can also join to the program. Other than that, it will be postponed. So it will be working that way. So it will not affect your application or admission process right now, anything. Even you can also apply to the Danish Immigration Service for your visa. So everything will go normal as it is right now. But we don't know the future. Nobody knows, basically.
yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, what I can tell you about it, I guess, as Vikash was also saying, by May 10th, the plan is that all of the teachers are going back to work like at the location and teach classes physically at UCN. But right now, the even with the virus situation, it hasn't slowed down or stopped even one thing with our educations. The school made a decision that we're all just going to work from home and teach through our online platform. And in like one day, that's just what we did. And we've been holding all of our lectures, we've been holding all of our exams and everything just as normal, but online instead. So nothing is being delayed from our organization. And I know the international departments and the admissions department is also just working from home full time. So administration wise, I don't see any reason why there should be any delays or any negative effects. The only reason I didn't say anything before is I don't know how it will affect being able to come into the country. It's impossible to tell. But also, as Bikash said, it's Denmark's had an excellent response to the virus, and the number of cases have gone completely almost to nothing. So we hope to be back to normal very soon.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. Do you have any
Yeah.
more question? All right.
Now,
Then I think thank you, Travis, for
Yes.
today and joining with us, and hopefully thanks for the nice information and presentation. And we loved your presentation. And stay safe and stay nice.
Great. Thank you very much. And feel free to email me anything you want, and I'll talk to you soon.
thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Okay, have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
You too, sir. Have a nice day.